You can have water.
Have water again? Okay. Oh, that's good.
Because earlier you can't.
Video's not running there, right?
No.
Zaidi, Ito ordered you a heating pad
No, come on.
to help with the bath. It'll be good.
I need it, but I need it. If she can order it, I'll pay for it. I need a water pick.
Water pick instead of a toothbrush.
Okay. Why is it? It is picking up audio, by the way.
Do I have?
I mean, the question.
To go on, let me turn the audio on. Just make sure that. Start virtual camera. Zoom.
One guy's there.
Why did it not start virtual camera? Yeah, Yonis and Resnick's there.
Yeah. Another guy.
Turn on the audio.
2 more guys.
Yeah, now people are starting to join.
Cool.
Now I'm gonna go. Okay, and now
Okay.
CD should be ready to go. And,
Udi won't hear me coming there, right? Udi,
what?
you won't hear me coming there, right?
Okay, we ready?
Yeah. Now we're ready.
And good morning, I've got Erev Shabbos. This year's coming from California. So that's what took a little bit setting up. Okay. The patient says to Pinchos, you want to give him schar. Now, be Emerson, if it was Yisrael, Pinchos happened to be Aaron's grandson, but he was not a Cohen. But he's still Aaron's grandson. So that's important. Aaron was zeichet the Kohuna Gedaila because there was no Shalom V'Reidav Shalom. That's the main reason he was zeichet, and Moshe was not. To be that, you have to be ready to get into any fight and feel it's a gonet and you're able to solve it. Once you feel it's difficult, you can't be a Reidav Shalom, because it's difficult. But if the chat is a big deal, then you can do it. So that was the Midah of Aaron, and I guess his descendants are genetic. That's the Midah of the Kehanim. So even though they are angry, this thing, one has nothing to do with the other. And therefore he was able to give him the kahuna. Now my theory is, and I don't know how true it is, that all the kehanim, are from Pinchos, not from Elazar, and not from Yisoma. The reason you don't find by Elazar they had any other sons, all you find is brought down Pinchos. Now you can say they only mention Pinchos, but he may have had other sons, that's true, but I don't know that to be a fact. But we do see that Pinchos ultimately, I don't know if he ever actually became Kohen Gadol, but he served in the Kohen Gadol at every transition that took place, even until Pleibish Begiva. So therefore, he was around for a long time. The question when Pleibish Begiva happened, but he was around for a long time. And he was always the one that was there at the time of when there was the transition period, that there wasn't anyone. So we're coming to to understand. So therefore, when really, who should have yarshened Elazar? When Elazar finished them before Yisoma became Kohen Gadol, should have been Elazar's son. If there wasn't Pinchos, should have been a different son, if there was. But there wasn't. That's why he went to Yisoma. And it lasted by Yisoma until Aviosa, until that time, and then what he called it took over, Tzaddik took over, and he's from, they say, from Bnei Elazar. But obviously there's only one Bnei Elazar from Pinchos, that means Pinchos took over. So I sort of Kehanim from Yisoma also maybe, right? So that by the base Levi, by the base Eli, that should be the end of them. And you didn't find that it says that there was a mishpacha called Yochanan. He died at 18, and because he died at 18, he used to, they started to learn Torah and stuff for that, and they lived to 40. But we don't have any such families. So I assume they died out. And when they killed Mevia HaKahanim, that was the Bnei Aviosa. So I don't know how many were left, or if any were left. But the Maisa, right now, but Pinchos definitely was left, and therefore the Kahanim from Pinchos. Okay, so that's, now the time is that Kahanim is Kinosi. Now with the Ben Shom should have killed, there was a revolution took place between Zimri, what he called, wanted to take Zimri was making a revolution. He's really Shol ben HaKananis, actually Shimon's son. And the Rashi brings down about the end of Parshas Balak that they came to him, that they were killing them, when the Bezdin was killing them, 176,000. So they asked him to intervene for them, and he started up with Moshe Rabbeinu, who was not the Yudus Midyanis and all that stuff. Of course, she became me too. The other Midyanis was Nus. And they weren't even killed for this Nus. They were killed for the Avodah Zarah they did. Not that the Gatois didn't Kanoim Poigim boy. And the only Kanoi he found was Pinchos. He went and killed Zimri. But Zimri was making a revolution at that time. The revolution was an Isheni Lebetin, and Moshe's only Shlishi Lebetin. So the Malchus should belong to me. Because Cosby, when she came, she said, my father told me I should only go to a Melech or to Sheni, the Melech. And he says, I'm more Muyuchas. What's more Muyuchas? Like I'm a pretender to the throne. It belongs to me, B'yamsin, the throne. That's why she went to with Zimri. And being an Imsakanoi, had that kin in him, but he's not allowed to do anything about it because he doesn't know if he's allowed to. So therefore, you have to ask Moshe Rabbeinu first, the Shaila. When Moshe was mad to him, he was able to let it loose in order that he went out to kill. Now, this is what do you call it? This is a big lesson for any kanoi. In other words, you've had the kanoi, you feel it, and then you can't take it, but you can't do anything about it until you have a heta. That's an emsa kanoi. Otherwise, you just got tzech. Okay. Anyway, so he killed them, and this was his revolution, and he's Shlomo ben Tzurishadoi, as the Gemara says. That's his real name. He was called Shol ben HaKananis because he lent himself to an Avecha, which is this Avecha, that he stood up for Klal Yisrael. But he stood up for Klal Yisrael. He didn't do the Avecha just for nothing. And the Mishpacha is called Mishpacha Sashauli. If you see right, in a minute we'll see. Why is he called Mishpachas HaShauli? Because the people should know that this midah that they have in them, that they want to stand up to protect the Klal Yisrael. So even when they do wrong, is a midah that's a problem. So it's not so good. If they want to stand up to protect Klal Yisrael, that's wonderful. But when they're wrong, that he can't do. And that's what they learned from me. That's why he called himself Shauli, to know that we have that danger in our family, that we may stand up for the wrong thing. Now that in Shalom, there's a chopped off vav. It's actually with a different timing, but the idea is it's got to be a vav because they're the bottom. So it should be a vav. At the same time, it should be cut. Otherwise, they have a shadow. There's no ladder there, and that we have a problem. Okay. Yeah. The Reuven then said that they should attack the Midyanim, not the Moyavim, even though the Moyavim maybe had the idea first, because you see, Bilam gave it to Moyav, but Afal came, the Taina was the Midyan, because we have Rusa. Rusa is supposed to be born from Moyav. And that's a very strange thing, that because it said before that the Bullock when Tzipor Melech Alamoyev Beisahi, to tell you that he really was a Midyani. And that was the deal they made, that the lords will come from Moav and the king will come from Midian. They made peace among themselves. It's made like a federation. So if she's descended from Bullock, which is what they want to say, so then she's really a Midyani. So this, that Doyeg Tainet, that she's a Moavis, and therefore the Sophie she's looking for the cow is a false thing. She wasn't from Moavis. They might have married, and then to marry, it goes after the man. So the man was the Melech that went all the way down. So anyway, that other thing, okay. Yeah, so they were attacking Midian, and what they only needed was 12,000. In other words, 1,000 for each Shevet, right? And first he said, no. And he doesn't say it, I'm sorry, he doesn't say it yet over here that they did the 12,000 yet. That's by Moshe Rabbeinu's death. But over here, okay, now it says the Rebbeinu wanted them counted again. Now, counting, a lot of people learn is because one leader is now giving them over to another leader. And you want to know what the responsibility is and what he's giving over. So this time, so they counted again. And we find there were about 2,000 less than the first time. And that's the kashi you see from a long time I gave it, but but specifically Baal Pur, because according to them Baal Pur, 200,000 were killed. A quarter of Klal Yisrael. That was a long time. That was a lot of people. Okay. And he talks about the counting, and within the counting, he makes different lessons are learned in there. So the first one was Reuven, and he tells you after the counting, he goes in to tell you about Dos Vaviram. That Dos Vaviram or Kriyei Hoida. And in the Torah it's spelled Kriyei. The Ksiv is Kriyei. The Kriy is Kriyei. Different than by the Nisim, which the Ksiv is Kriyei and the reading is Kriya. And so this must be a lesser Madrega. But obviously they were deserving of that title. They were Shaitan B'nai Yisrael. They sacrificed themselves to Klal Yisrael. So therefore they do deserve some kind of mention. But the Maisa is they were Rishoyim. And but the B'nai Korach, they made so because they did Shuvah on the way down. That's interesting, and they obviously came out after a while, said for a little thing there, because they obviously got married and had families, and because it comes from them. So obviously there's such a thing. So that was the first thing. Then it goes into Shimon. Shimon doesn't mention the word numbers. Like Kudehem, Pikudehem, that was by Reuven it says Pikudehem, and then said Lipikudehem, sometimes Bifkudehem, but differently showing, but you have the word counting. But over here, by Shimon, you don't have that, because they don't have the amount that they should have. Like we said in Parshas Midbar, they had an extra word by Shimon, the Pekudav, because there has to be a balance to Klal Yisrael. They're the teachers for Klal Yisrael. They're the Melamdi Tanaikis, the Sefer of Klal Yisrael, and you don't have it. But they just made it enough that they had enough to have the Shechina Shli Aleim. Because we saw from Vayiv Aharon that you have 22,000 is the minimum that the Shechina will show on. So they have 22,200. So they have an extra 200. Okay, but it doesn't say to their counting, because they don't fit it. Then when it comes to Menashe, and they bring in now what do you call this also after Reuven, by Reuven, they put down the numbers of Klal Yisrael, and then it tells you about Dosav Aviram. So that means they're not counted in the number. They're outside. They're not Jew anymore. They have chorus, whatever they have. I have no idea what the shot. On the other hand, by Yehuda, he puts Oinon right in the beginning, and it says Ervan died, and then it tells you the number. So Masha, if they would have been alive, they would have been counted, even though they did Navecha. Doing an Navecha doesn't pass you from being counted. Making a revolution, that's a different story. That passes you from being counted. So anyway, by Menashe, it talks about, first of all, has Menashe first. Menashe Efraim. Even though it says, Menashe. He put Ephraim first, but doesn't mean he stays first. Depends what the people do. So Menashe went and had a lot of tzaddikim in there, and he also became a very big sheikh. Came over 52,000, while the others, Ephraim is in the 30,000, I think. Went down from 40-something to 30-something. So obviously, that whatever it is, there's a bigger shtigal in this thing. And again, they have 5 people who are girls. Utzlofchad and and he mentions this, and he says, and he counts of Kudehem, and Kudehem comes after the count telling you about the girls. Mashma, the girls, if they would have been boys, they would have been counted in Klal Yisrael. The thing is, they were girls, so that was the one counted. But the mice, they wanted their royal to be counted. They're as big as the boys. The big people, they want to put that in. Puts it here, and it will put it a few more times. Okay. Okay. When they done, only had one son, right? Chusham, Shucham, whatever it is, both he had two names. Shuchami, so Emerson, everybody comes from him too. So it's Mishpacha is Shuchami, but their shave is done. But the Mishpacha is Shuchami. It's only one family. They didn't split up. They meant, and the second biggest shave in Klal Yisrael. And the same thing goes for Bar Social, Sarach, that they counted the counting after she's included. They mention a special, tell you, he would have been a boy, she was counted, she's very choshev. Rashi, that tells you that these 12, these Shvatim, these numbers, are the Chalukas Horetz. And the question is, how do you do it? You go back to the first generation, then going back again, down to the next generation, and so on, whatever it is. However the Cheshbon comes out, however they did it. But on the basis, Machlich, Yomin, and next to whatever they are, that you find that that they actually, that they were killed from themselves. Yeah. Yeah, that talks about the Kehanim, and the Shaya again, they didn't seem to gain anything, the 23,000. Right? In the first counting, it's also that number approximately. 40 years later, and Levim shouldn't have died at all in the Midbar. So they should have had, I guess, between 20 and 60. The ones, the original counters, maybe were not counted again, because they were older. But the Maisa, they count from a month to 50. So maybe there's not, that's why there's less, but they're only the same amount. It's a very shmer zach. Why? Okay. Yeah. Then the Bnei Slavcha came with it in Torah. In other words, they claimed, like, we're women, you're right, but why by not giving the chelik, our father is erased. And that's a good time. In other words, our father was a man, he deserved the chelik in the Levaretz. But he's dead, and we're women. What happens to that chelik? Why don't we get it? And the Rishons gave it to them. And he gave it to them because he was Bechor, so he gave him double. And the idea is that that's the chaylik of that the women go into the men, that the women's yarshin after there's no men. Then it goes to the uncles and the father first and the uncles. And it keeps going till you'd have nobody. But since Klal Yisrael always has people, except for Gerim, So they will have somebody that will yashin them. That's the key point. And then he tells Moshe, also it's time to go. Ultimately, he's not going to die till the end of the Chumash, but still, the tzivui is here, and the thing, because we're learning more things out over here. So what happened was that Moshe thought that his children were roy l'kach, which is important to realize, and they should inherit. And the Moshe said, no, I'm giving it to Yeshua. But the kasha was a stronger kasha now, that the fact that Moshe sent them away, they lost that maybe after preparation of godless that they could have had, which would have made them really royal. Royal they were. Obviously, otherwise Moshe wouldn't have recommended them even. So obviously they were royal. But they weren't the Talmidim of his, they weren't the dedicated people like he was, but like Yeshua was. Maybe if he would have been in Mitzrayim, they would have been. So that keeping them out maybe cost them this godless. I have no idea. So what he wanted was somebody that was someone that can understand the people, that he will bond with them, he will teach them, he will take care of each one, like a shepherd. There's no such thing. I forget about these people. Everyone is part of Klal Yisrael. It's my job to teach them all. And that was Moshe Rabbeinu. So the Benishim told him, put up Yeshua. Yeshua has this, and you'll give him from your hoid. So hoid seems to be something that's given over, so it's like ziv, giving you radiation from you or something. You give me your hoid. And when Yeshua was Mitzavim, put one hand on Yeshua, and he put both hands on Yeshua. Somehow that has a bigger power than one hand. Don't ask me what it means, I don't know. But obviously, when you bench your kids, you put both hands on their heads, because you want that keach to go in. So then the Rebbeinu says to him, you're telling me to take care of the people, tell them what they have to do for me. And that's the point, what do you do for me? The Rebbeinu doesn't need their korbanos. The basic point of the korban, especially in Noidla, is the recognition that our korban hashemayim. That's the main thing. Now, to recognize that korban hashemayim, you have to say, if Benish wants to give me back, he can give me back. And by tzibur, there was always korbanos mincha and sochem, which by Yochid did not exist until after the Chatam Aragim, and that was only Chal Eretz Yisrael. But for the Klal, it was always, because Klal Yisrael always has to understand everything from Hashem. Now the question is how many korbanos we want to bring. So here it depends on people. And that's what we're going to go into. Okay. So first he tells you about the korban tamid, which is the person. Excuse me. Not coming. Which is like Shema Yisrael. We say twice a day. When we start the day and when we end the day. The same thing goes with the korban tamid. We start the day recognizing everything's from Hashemayim, and we end the day with that feeling. So there's two. Then comes along Shabbos, which has two more, which is, that's to tell you Shabbos God takes care of. So therefore you don't even have to do work to do it. He takes care of it. And we proved that from Parshas Shalach, they don't even have to do any work at all. You know, that's why they didn't fall on Shabbos. You didn't even have to pick it up and bring it to the house. It's automatic, something that's going to be there. How it is and how would I check it and all this thing, the Radrachim, I think. Does it really work? I'm sure it does, but you got to figure it out. You got to figure out how many sales you have. You know, with the sale of 50% off is not for nothing. The fact that you sometimes get more money from the side for doing something that you didn't earn. We're going to have real estate, stocks. Automatically it jumps certain amounts at a time. So obviously that you can have Shabbos included there. But even the push of the person, he always has things to buy and things like that, you probably could make a cheshbon. You know, to see what you spent on Shabbos and what you spent on Excellent. Then you have Rashi says that the Shah is given in honor of Avram Avinu. So what does it say you have to do here? Poem Shnaim, right? So Shiva is the kasha, you know, it's either 1 or 3. Why 2? In other words, 1 it says in the Torah, it says this is the bucket that Avram brought to the 3 malachim. So either we have the measures that it was 3, or the pasuk it's stam is 1. So why 2? So the Shiva gives the answer, and I don't remember. My answer is that there are 2 differences between the Hachnosis Hochin of Avram. There's 2 parts to it. There's one is the giving the tzedakah, the part that the poor man needs. Why is it called chesed, tzedakah? Chesed made it how he made the guy feel when he gave it to him, that he was a guest, an honored guest. It's my honor to give it to you. So therefore, the point of it is that he made it easy for him to take. So this is what we aspire to, that all our stuff should be chesed with it. And the thing over there, so that's Avram Avinu. They have Yitzchak, is Dayal Echad, I think, right? Shnaim Dayal Echad, 1 is the Akedah. And we'll go past the Akedah of Yitzchak, which is the pshat of the dedication of Avos Hashem, or Yiras Hashem, whatever it is. And Zayin Kvosim, which is connected the 7 Chochmot that we have in the Menoicha, that you got Panosa from, because Yaakov Avinu, the Rebbe said, Yaakov, who does Panosa? So you have 7. What they are, I don't know, but they have the 6 were towards the Torah, and that's how you get the 7 halakim of knowledge and chokhmah, which goes into Torah. Okay. And then you had the mincha, which is to understand that even physical labor is included. And then you had the Nesochim, which is Yayin, that's Yisamach L'Bavenish, that it's a point that the person should realize that he should love this, should understand this and love it. Okay, that's them. Then it says Pesach, So it's interesting, even though we call Pesach the whole 7 days, or 8 days, it's really not. Pesach is only the 14th, not even the Pesach. From the 15th on is Chag HaMatzos, because the Preidah Pesach was only brought one time. So that's what he says. Really, the 14th is Pesach Hashem. With Chamish also, you have Chag. But somehow the Korban Pesach is so important that it took over. We call it the whole Yontif on that name. Yeah. So what is this Korbanos? Again, the poem in the book of Shnayim, I left the same as Rosh Chodesh. Okay, and that's it. Then, so Shavuos be the same thing, right? Poem in the book of Shnayim, I left the same as okay. Chodesh HaShvi, understand there we change already. In the ones that we call the Tshuna, Yom Kippur, and Shmini Atzeres. So what do they have? They have a little different. They what? Sifim, only one ox. Ayalechad, only one, and the thing is, why only one? Because you're talking Yom Hadin. When you want to Rabbeinu Shalom, the Yikir, you're saying, Rabbeinu Shalom, the only got the food. That's the Yikir, counted as a mitzvah for me. Even though I maybe didn't do the chesed as much as I should, but still counted as a mitzvah for me. And that's what we try to push it. So those three are missing one ox. Okay, and the same thing goes in Yom Kippur, is what? The Kaftem Allah Hashem Pav Ben Bakar Echad, Ayal Echad, Kosmeshon, okay. So again, okay. Then he gets to Sukkos. Sukkos we have completely different. What's he have? He has, first of all, Pohim, are not in that cheshbon anymore of Avram Avinu. They're a cheshbon that we give Keneged the Umas. There are 70 total, starting off from 13, going down, 12, 11, 10, till they got to there were total 70. And that's Keneged the Umas of the world. I would assume that's not only because of the Umas were so generous with the Umas, I think it's also because of the clovers for the goats. And that's why we go a little weiter, so let's explain that. And so you have that's names for Elam Shnayim, 2 Elam. Why 2 Elam? Because in reality there are two Akedas. There's the Akedas of Yitzchak and the Akedah of Avraham. What was the Akedah of Avraham? He didn't do anything. Okay, he had to kill his son. It's one thing. But also, he put a denial on everything he preached. He preached that human sacrifice was also. And all of a sudden, he's bringing his son. So it was an Akedah, meaning you have to say you're a big liar. What you did is that all the things you said are false, right? If that's the case, so why are you doing what you're doing, right? Yeah, and he didn't stop him. He did anyway. That's something that stops the pride, which stop the person. That's the Akedah Safon. So on Sukkot, we remember both the Akedah Safon and the Akedah Yitzchak. Both of them. And 14 sheep. Now why 14? We had 7. Because in Golos we have other jobs that we didn't have before. The goyim didn't let us do work. I didn't count them, how many there are. I'm sure there must be 7 types. Like all the banking that we learned to do, the ribbis, and all these things that the banking industry came out, all Yiddish. Why? Because we couldn't own any land by the goyim. And since then, it came out there's 14. So in Golas, there are 14 parnassus. In Eretz Yisrael, we're dealing among Jews, only 7. In Golas is 14. I don't know what they are, but you'll have the Shabbos, meaning, can I run a hotel on Shabbos? Can I run an old age home on Shabbos? And things of this sort. You need the elevator, you need this, goyim operate it. But now you're having them do your work. You have to make it like the nafshi. All these types of things that you have to do. And because of that, you have all of a sudden different jobs that we're stuck with and stuff. So that since we're going for the korbanos for the goyim, that's the thing they keep. So, okay. And these, as they say, keeps going down. There are 3 days that you make, or all the days you make this hamayim, machlekes really. If it's 2, 7, 6 and 7, or all the days, but to make michas the simchas beis hashoeva, that the water. Why water on Pesukos? Because the whole year we're talking about wine. We're trying that our joy should be from the Torah, from Yiddishkeit. But after Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, then we have to realize that our life is Torah, and therefore it's mayim. All of a sudden it's water alone. You don't have to enjoy it. This is life. Without it, you don't have anything without the Torah. So that's very important for us to know. It goes all the way. And the Yom HaShmini, we say the same thing, Hashem Kippur. Ha'elachad, Pa'arechad, Ha'elachad, right? Okay. And this is the, what do you call it? And then the korban, that these are the musafim that we bring. The Haftarah is a very interesting one. It's talking about Eliyahu running away after the thing when everybody said Hashem hu Elokim, Hashem hu Elokim in Har Carmel, and then they killed the priests of the Kane Abal and the Shregã. And I think that's l'chayra should have been from. But you hear from this that Asalia waited a day. Asalia, that she said to him, I'm going to get you anyway. Because people forget. People start to get back to the normal, and all of a sudden they forget. That was what she said. And Eliyahu understood it, and he ran. And the Malach meets him, and he tells him what he should do. That he should go, what do you call it, the thing there, so, a Kanu Kanesi, that, you know, I'm the only guy that was stood up for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or whatever it is he wrote. Okay. So the Gershon, then the Malach tells him that he should eat. Right? And it says that this food lasted 40 days. By Moshe Rabbeinu, it says he didn't eat and didn't drink for 40 days. He became a malach taki. And the Yod did not become, he was still human. But the food lasted for 40 days. He wasn't hungry. The big difference, Moshe didn't need the food. There was no food. But for Eliyahu, there was food. And one thing Moshe Rabbeinu was mispal on Libinu, you give a job to a Navi, don't take it away from him unless he resigns. Right? In other words, if you don't do this, what you're doing to me, no, to Moshe Rabbeinu. What is he doing? That he took him off from leadership before it took him to Eretz Yisrael. Your job was to take him into Eretz Yisrael, and I'm stopping the job in the middle. Why? He said, when you give another Navi, Moshe said, that Moshe was saying, it shouldn't happen to another Navi unless he resigns. So with Eliyahu also was pulled away in the middle. So the idea is that his middle was because he resigned. That's what the Navi's running show. He started off originally saying, I'm running because of Izebel, and I have no choice but to run. He has to run to Izebel. And he ends off the same way. Even after he ate, and after the Navi came, the Malach came to him and everything else, and he saw the relation, he still said, I'm afraid. They're going to kill me. That's the case, you can't do the job anymore. You're finished. So that was how he resigned. That was the point of this affair, I think. And just as a point of information, it seems that the Torah, when you want to be heard, sometimes all you need, it says over there, that when the Benishim came, Yudel v'chozik, and Chaim, he said, Ruach Hashem, God is not in the wind. Ruach Rav, and Rash Hashem, God's not in the noise. Rash Eish, after Rash came a fire, and Eish Hashem, God's not in the fire. Where's Father? How are you going to have guys? Where's fire? Eish killed the Mamadaka. That's it. That's that the Torah, gentle, small, that has the effect of getting people to understand. And that's what he did. Here I am at Pesach. They got the bench and did all the Nisim thing they did for Moshe Rabbeinu. And even at the end of it, where he says to them, what are you doing here? After he saw all the Nisim, all the things that he did for Moshe, he said, Kanoi Kanesi, and I'm running for my life. So that means you're out of business. So he told them, go, and you'll get there, and I want you to do three, keep going on your way to Mesek. ובוסו משחתס חזור למלך הרום, וסייהו בנים שתמשך מלך ישראל, וסלישו בן שופט מעבר, שאלו, you take for Navi תחתיך. Now he's going to take over for you. You're going to done because you resigned. Otherwise we would have done. And it could have been also, this was the time of Yehu, that all of a sudden there's only 7,000 people that are Oid Hashem. So Klal Yisrael came from, you can't count them to 7,000 people. That's a tremendous loss. To be a melech over 7, what is it, So therefore there's a Yir Shadas, that so many people waved at the result and everything else. Yeah. Now, Chazor Melech Haram, so it says how he did it. He came to Chazor, he didn't tell them you're dying. I mean, they went to Ben Hadad, Ben Hadad was the king before Chazor. So to Ben Hadad, he told him, you'll live, you'll recover, whatever. And that's what you got to tell a chayla. Once upon a time, doctors were sympathetic, and they told this chayla also, you're going to live in this, don't worry about it. And all of a sudden they died, okay, but they didn't worry about it, at least. When you tell a person you're going to die in a couple of weeks, all of a sudden you died now. You didn't die in a couple of weeks. You died now. So the question is, why'd you die? Why'd you kill him for? Because I'm afraid of my what do you call it, insurance? When he makes mistakes, that insurance for that keeps going up. If you told the guy he's going to live and he died, you told false. You gave me false hope. This. You told him you're going to have a baby. You didn't tell him it's going to be down. I could have aborted it. We don't abort. So therefore, by us, what's the point of telling? Just worrying. And then most of the time it's not what they said anyway. It's only a chance it could have been. So therefore, all these things are false. And we shouldn't even believe them. But people get scared. So don't scare people like that. That's the point, you don't scare them. And then he made Chazoel king on Aram, who's going to attack the Yidden, and he's going to tell. So he said, all are going to escape from Chazoel, then Yehu will kill them. Because he's the one that's wiping out Avodah Zarah. And Elish ben Shaphat, he finished. Well, the only ones he found that he killed were the 42 kids that when the bears came out and killed him. They'll make fun of him and everything else. That's all you found. So mashma that either was done before or whatever. Until there's only going to be 7,000 left. And that's saying a tremendous loss to Klal Yisrael. That's from all the 10 shvatim. Not to think it like it's so little. It's so minimum. Less that you don't, the Shechinah is not chal on them, whatever it is, but they still became big again. That's the Benshul, like Grace and Nisim. And by us, we had after the Holocaust, we had the division was 16, they killed out 6, we were out to 10. Now we're up again, it's around 13, 14, what do you call it? Because our birth rates are higher. We came to try and make back the numbers that existed then. And then, what do you call it? Elisha, when he went to get Elisha, so Elisha wanted him, to be able to say goodbye to his parents and all that stuff. And he said, okay, don't want, forget. He said Elisha wanted, so he ran after him. That's the point he got, and he was marking those kabbanis for what he called. Just, I'm not feeling that well here, so I'm here for a recovery point. Or if actually they did something. So that's why we're going to close. So anyway, have a good Shabbos, and hope next week I'll be back in shape, and we'll be back and we have the full time. Thank you very much. Have a good Shabbos. What do we do?
Buddha is coming. They can't hear us anymore.
Okay.
I silent it. Everyone wanna go to bed?
That was. He ended about 7-10 minutes early. So,
I just mute it. I guess.
Yeah. Do you want to talk to him?